Hello, everybody. Prow here, and we have another crazy news day for you. I actually have a lot to show you guys today. We're going to talk about everything from where you spawn, the fact that Zone 5 and 6 do not exist anymore. We have a ton of talk about food and effects and potions and things like that, cozy building, and even a little bit more information about farming and automation, something I'm very interested in. So if you're enjoying these news videos, please do me a huge favor. Make sure you click the subscribe button right now. 90% of you guys are not subscribed, so click the subscribe button, press like on this video so it gets seen by more people, and it always helps out if you share these videos around with other people that you know may be interested in Hytale. Okay, so starting out here, we have a post that somebody said, I hope that those beautiful Christmas and even Halloween images from Hytale that we've seen for many years now for each holiday season will be included in the game. And Simon responded, I personally made a new crafting bench with all the seasonal content just 2 days ago. I find this especially interesting. And here's a picture of some of the seasonal stuff that they're talking about. I find this especially interesting because we are getting close to Christmas time. The Christmas holiday season is upon us, and he's adding this in. He added it 2 weeks ago. Why would it be a priority to add unless you wanted it to be added before the holiday season? Because you're going to have early access release around or before the holidays. Just a prediction, just me reading the tea leaves a little bit, but I think that's going to be entirely possible. Okay, we have a little bit about water flow physics here, something that I didn't catch, but I thought was interesting. And let me go through the whole thing here. So mine said our water flow physics plan to get added in. And he shows this picture where it was from the creative video, and the water is just kind of floating there. It's not falling down. So first Simon says, yeah, it's planned, ton to do, many years of development ahead. But then we get a little bit more. He actually says we actually do have some water flow, but not in this specific case. I misunderstood the question. Works in normal cases, will improve the system as a whole later on. And then finally he says, Qatar, who's the one that did the creative videos, working on a creative team, told me it's by design for creative tools, but can add a toggle. So if you're working in creative mode, and you're building something or clearing land or whatever, you can have it so the water does not flow. So I thought that was pretty cool. I can think of some instances where I would personally use that. Next, we have a very interesting one here. Mine says, Chris and I theorize that if you spawn in zone 3 and there's a Yeti next to you, it's GG, meaning the Yeti's just going to kill you. Which we got some interesting information from Simon out of this. He says, can only spawn in zone 1 at the moment. Trying to balance to add more spawns in other zones, but it's too much work for early access to get it right. Made zone 3 and zone 2 much more dangerous, and it's quite fun. Downside is everyone experiences zone 1 first. Next world gen is much better at this. Info soon. Now, if you haven't seen it, there's a little like chart that shows the different zones. It doesn't mean they're laid out this way, but if you didn't know, Hytale's broken into different zones. Currently, we have zone 1 through 4. We'll talk about 5 and 6 here in a little bit. You have zones 1 through 4. And the zones are essentially groupings of biomes. So you have one zone that's going to be more temperate and is going to have like plains and that side of stuff and forests and that kind of stuff, right? You'll have a biome that's going to be more icy and mountainous and that sort of thing. So you're going to have like these different zones have different biomes, and the zones are all grouped together. So I don't know exactly what form it's going to take. Will you have just like a kind of neutral area in the center, and then all around you go in different directions to get the different zones? I think that's kind of how it's going to work out, but we'll have to see exactly how it works out in game with the generation, and we'll find this out here pretty soon. Anyways, I responded to Simon and said, is the plan for zone 1 to be a starter zone, then you have other zones as difficulty tiers in a way? Or do you want all zones to be accessible from the start so players have access to all blocks, but maybe certain zones have more inherent dangers in them? And then Simon responded back to me. He said, all zones are accessible, but the crafting slows down / gate the player a bit to prevent players just skipping to the late zones. All zones are relevant through the whole game, or at least that's our goal. Bench upgrades, ingredients from specific zones, etc. Players are given hints, but it's truly an exploration experience. There was no gameplay, so we did our best to get the vibes from an exploration point of view. So that kind of lets us know a little bit about what they're thinking in terms of progression in the game. And I want to put this in perspective for you here in a second. So what he's saying is your zones are going to have a little bit different difficulty to them. I would say not in the sense of like, don't think like an RPG. Don't think like, oh, I have to level up a bunch, because if I don't, I can't go to this other zone. Everything's going to instantly kill me. It's not quite like that, but it is gate kept a little bit, it seems like. I would compare it to the Nether or the End in Minecraft. These are kind of like almost their different zones in a way. So to go to the Nether, you're gate kept from that. You have to get up to diamond tools to get obsidian to make a portal. And then once you go in the Nether, it's a pretty dangerous place. It's hard to traverse, right? And then to go to the End, you have to find a stronghold. You have to have already gone to the Nether to get Eyes of Ender, to light the portal and then fight the dragon. Like, you have to do a lot of things, right? So it seems like, if I had to guess, it's going to be gate kept to a lesser degree than that, but it's affecting you a little bit more broadly. If I think of Minecraft, most players don't go to the Nether. Most players don't go to the End. Like, very few, actually, a small percentage actually go to the End, if you didn't know. So Minecraft is actually kind of hard gate kept. It may not seem like that to you if you're one that goes to these areas, but if you're somebody watching this video right now, listening to me, that doesn't go to these areas, you know what I'm talking about. I don't feel like that Hytale is going to be as gate kept as the Nether, and especially the End is in Minecraft. It's going to be something where you're going to get progressively a little bit more difficult as you go. And then as you progress in the game, you upgrade your crafting benches or whatever, you're going to have to get a little bit harder and a little bit harder materials to do that, but it'll kind of build you up to it. That's the sense that I got. Okay, let's talk about Zone 5 or 6. Hytale Saved said, could we have a look at zones 5 and 6 as a separate blog post? The community has been waiting 7 years for this moment. And Simon dropped a big bomb on us. They kind of don't exist at the moment. They got nuked years ago. We'll probably revisit that using New World Gen that will be shown in a blog post soon. Canadian Flash then says, wait, so where does storm leather come from? Storm leather was an item that we saw in an anvil to craft a higher tier weapon, and it was presumed that, okay, well, that would make sense to come from Zone 5, because Zone 5 is going to be this like sky island place, and I think there's just some lore around that with a certain mob that would potentially come from there that you would get it from. Okay, Simon says ancient gateway, good luck, brother. So essentially what they're going to do is, part of your progression to get maybe some of this harder stuff is you're going to have to open up these ancient gateways that teleport you to a dungeon-esque type system, an instanced world where you go through and you're going to get some of these items from. You're not going to find them in the main world. We have more though. So Melonic said, if they don't currently exist in game, can you tell us what the ideas for them were? Like what zones 5 and 6 were supposed to look like? And Simon doesn't want to do that. He says they might make a comeback, so I don't want to spoil. I suspect that zones 5 and 6 will be something that we may see at launch. This is just my guess, but I would guess that they're going to go through early access with zones 1 through 4. They'll work fine. There's going to be more than enough content there, and they're going to keep expanding out all the systems in the game, building on them, making the game like really good and ready for full release. And then who knows, either they will let us know that zones 5 and 6 are coming at release, or maybe they surprise us. It's like a oh, hey, by the way, on release next week, you're going to have zones 5 and 6 there. I don't really know, obviously, exactly how it's going to work out, but that would be something really funny and really cool for them to do. Okay, let's talk about food and cooking. Lee says, I'm really curious if there's any info on cooking systems or decorative food items. Simon says there is no cooking system, really, so we're making one at the moment. We will have a dedicated team for cozy life skills like this, plus farming and other life skills. And this continues, though. We have a lot about cooking. Sardara says, we need hunger mechanic in order to make cooking and farming useful. What will cozy players do with all those stuffs otherwise? Great point. I think a lot of you guys have been commenting this too in some of my posts that I've been doing on YouTube. If we don't have a reason to eat food, then why would we farm the food and make the food in the first place? We need a purpose behind it. So Simon says food can be way more interesting than a simple hunger system. In the long term, we will explore mixing ingredients for food that gives unique buffs. Use activity-based meals like a mining stew for faster swings, prep combat meals, feed NPC villages, get quality system tied with bonuses, or build food mastery. Extra food isn't wasted when it fuels buffs, NPC exchange, or NPC reputation. There are tons of ways to avoid hunger mechanic, to be honest. Not saying no hunger ever, but I would like to explore some ideas first. At the moment, it's a buff mechanic, a bit like Valheim. stamina slash HP max, and regen buff for X period of time. So food has a little bit of a use right now. I like the way that Simon's going about this. He's not taking the easy route of just, okay, let's just put food in for hunger, and then like we'll look at some other ideas later. He's looking at the other ideas now. He's trying to figure out, is there a way that we can make food fun, interesting, useful, a good part of the game without it just being, oh, I'm hungry again, I have to eat because I'm hungry. When you think about it, that survival mechanic is really quite boring. Like, it makes sense in a game that is heavily survival based, where like food is not necessarily easy to get. You have to find it and farm it to keep yourself alive. But when I think about a game like Minecraft, food just becomes a little bit of a chore. Like, oh, my hunger bars went down a little bit, I guess I'll eat one of this stack of golden carrots that I have. And it's very like, I don't know, it's more a nuisance because you just have to carry a stack of food in your hotbar. That's really all food is in Minecraft. It's just something that takes up a hotbar slot because you have to eat it. So I like the fact that he's going this route with, let's see if like we can make food really good. And I have some thoughts about this that I post here in a little bit. So we'll go over that in a second. So Go says, does this mean we will have masteries? Simon says, right now, there's not much fun about cooking in Hytale. We will explore tons of concepts in the coming months while in early access. Modders will probably give us plenty of ideas. If you don't know what masteries is, look up a game called Core Keeper. It's a really fun game. It's kind of like a 2D based, I have a video on it. It's kind of like a 2D based Minecraft type game, right? And I'm not going to explain the whole game to you, but essentially what they have there is they have masteries for like everything that you can do. You have like you earn XP for skills like exploring by just running around, for cooking by cooking things, for fishing by fishing, for combat by fighting stuff, etc. And you earn XP in each category, and you just get skill points that you can spend. And the point isn't to make you make hard decisions. It's not like, oh man, do I take this combat skill or this combat skill? Like, which one's going to be better? I don't know. Instead, it's like, okay, this skill right here looks fun. It gives me a small buff for melee weapons, or this one gives me a small buff for ranged weapons or whatever. And eventually, just by normal gameplay, you end up able to level everything up and get all of the skills. It's just kind of fun. So think about that in the context of fishing, which we talked about in the previous video, where fishing might be a thing, right? So if you enjoy fishing, just imagine that when you start fishing, it's kind of fun. You're learning the ropes, you're catching a couple fish, whatever. And then you just level up that skill because you're fishing. And then you get to spend a point that makes you catch better stuff when fishing, or makes you catch fish faster, or allows you to catch rarer fish or something like that, right? And then you just start doing that, and then you're just doing it because you like to fish, and then you leveled up again. Same thing for cooking, etc. You just skill it up because you're just doing it. You don't have to do anything special, just levels itself up as you play. You assign the skill points, and eventually you just do it enough to where you get all the skill points assigned. I don't know. It's just a fun little system. I quite liked it a lot in Core Keeper. It's one of the reasons I kind of want to go back and play it a little bit. And I would love to see something like that here. Now, Communidad says, but won't potions serve the same purpose? Wouldn't it be easier to leave that function to the potions and incorporate hunger into the game? And Simon says, potions can be used for insta or short duration or combat emergencies. So I like that. So if you need a strong short-term burst of something, you take a potion, right? Oh man, I need to heal. You drink a potion, it gives you 10 seconds of like kind of quick healing. Or I'm about to fight this hard mob, I'm gonna drink a potion and it gives me better defenses for like 20 seconds or something like that. Whereas food could be, I eat this certain recipe, it gives me a smaller defensive buff, but it gives it to me for like 10 minutes or 20 minutes or something like that, right? There's actually a lot of really cool ways that you could do this. I won't get into all of them right now, but I gave Simon some ideas that I posted on Twitter that I think would be really cool in terms of like effects. Think of like, I can eat a food and I can mine blocks faster, but like it's maybe only 500 blocks or 1,000 blocks, and then later I can do a better food that lets me mine 1,500 blocks faster or something like that. There's a lot of really cool things you could do with food to make it fun to gather recipes and cook dozens or hundreds of different types of foods as you go. You could always just not interact with that and you could still play the game just fine. But if you do interact with that system, you get a little bit of a benefit out of it. Or if you play in a multiplayer server with multiple people, maybe somebody else likes to do the cooking, you let them do it and they cook up foods and then you get to just take them and eat them and get the buffs. Really cool ideas. Okay, now more about food. Darzek says, pretty amazing. Putting aside hunger existing or not, please be careful with this. I don't think I've ever seen a singular game that makes food that engaging a mechanic. Making it too buff heavy would kind of take the fun out of what is an incredibly warm IRL activity. Needs innovation. Simon says, yep, you are right. So he's gonna watch it because you don't want to make it too strong. Because if you make it too strong, then you feel like you have to do it. Then it becomes it just takes up a hotbar slot. Like, man, I can't even go into the zone without having this steak in my inventory. So then it just becomes, I have to go to the zone. Okay, one of my hotbar slots is steak, another one's a potato, and another one's apple pie, because I just have to have these 3 foods to get through this activity. So nobody wants it to be like that. It should just be a fun thing to where if you want to really optimize something, you can eat the foods or you get that little bit of extra out of it that feels enough to be worth it, but not so much to where you have to have it, if that makes sense. Okay, and we have this post from all right, now for all of you cozy players out there, and I know there's a lot of you, this is great news from Simon and something we're going to start seeing really soon. Simon says in Hytale, if you're a cozy player who enjoys farming, building a cute home, caring for animals, cooking, and simply wants to escape the real world, we've got you covered. We're now assembling a dedicated team focused entirely on bringing this vibe to life and creating a living world filled with warmth, charm, and good vibes. And I know a lot of you guys love to hear this because so far, the most information they've given us is about combat, which looks fun and cool and exciting. It's something I'll like to engage with. But even myself, who loves those types of things, I don't want to do that all the time. I don't want that to be the core of the game. I just want it to be one system in the game that I get to interact with. So when I feel like doing it, I can go do it and have a lot of fun doing it. But a lot of you guys I know, and myself too, to an extent, sometimes you just want to kind of chill out. So here he's talking about that's kind of what we're going to start seeing coming up soon, is they're really going to focus on that cozy part of the game. Like, let me make my house. I want it to look good. I want it to kind of feel good. I want to have purpose in staying at home and doing things too. I want to farm. I want to fish. I want to cook things. And I want that to be an engaging system all by itself. So that way, if you're the type of player that like you don't care about the combat at all, like you just want to like build some cool looking things and just like hang out around your base and build up this base area and just kind of have fun in that general part of the game, then you will have a lot to interact with as well. So that's kind of what Simon is saying here. You cozy players, those cozy vibes are going to be coming your way. Okay, now I posted this. I didn't tag Simon on it. It was just a general thought that I had, but Simon's so awesome. He's going to jump in and answer. Anyways, I say the biggest worry I have about Hytale is how its game mechanics work along with what they give us to automate tasks. I love exploring, creating structures, and progressing, but it's the hours of building a farm to get a resource, then decorating it, that makes me play for thousands of hours. I don't expect much of any of this to be in early access to start, but I hope it's something that we will see a little more of every update that they do. So really, I'm talking here about like just automating tasks, right? It could be simple stuff like think how an iron farm works, or think how you can have a villager pick crops and throw those crops to another villager, but you like collect them, like you have a way to collect them. Any type of farming, think you have a piston that breaks the stalk of a plant that's growing and you have a minecart below it that collects it. Even the most simple form of farming, I love that stuff. For me, that gives me a lot to do because I like to build them, but then I like to make them look good. So a farm that may take, maybe it could only take an hour to build, I may spend 15 hours building it because I want it to be positioned and look a certain way and get me a whole lot of stuff, and I want it to look really cool. So Simon answers that and says, not much at launch, but I clearly understand exactly what you're talking about. It's a top priority. So if you have any question of whether we're going to be able to farm things, it's going to happen and it's going to be engaging. Now, we don't know what form that's going to take. We know it's not going to be a exact copy of Redstone. And he's made hints that there could be something that maybe more steers towards create mod. I would imagine not as complex, but you'll probably have components of that in the game. But whatever method that they do, it's something that they have as a priority, and we'll see sooner rather than later. I did drop him a line and said, if I can help in any way with this, let me know. It's what I did primarily in Minecraft for my 8 years playing. You guys know me if you followed my Minecraft content. That's what I do. I make tutorials, I do guides, and a lot of what I do is mechanics heavy and farm heavy. Okay, I love that kind of stuff. And Simon said, sounds good. So I don't know if he'll actually reach out to me or not, but I would love to help out, even if it's just kind of giving my opinion on things that they're thinking and doing. He doesn't have to take my ideas. I just want the game to be engaging. Okay, and I feel like we have a little bit of extra time, so I want to run this idea by you guys for a food system. And I want you to go to the comments down below and just let me know what you think. You can say it's terrible, I would rather have this instead. You can say it's great, it's perfect, put that exact thing in the game. Say whatever you like. I'm just really looking for your honest opinions. But I did tag Simon on this because it's a thought that I had. So I said, cool idea for how the food buff system could work. So generic food won't give you buffs, but food you have to prepare / cook will. And you'll find recipes for food in various ways around the world. Mobs, chests, structures, bosses, etc. So you don't just start out knowing how to cook everything, but instead you find recipes through just normal gameplay that allow you to cook things. It'll be a fun thing to find. It'll be, I like those exciting moments of I open a chest and there's something in that chest that's really cool that I want. Or I defeat a boss and one of the things that he drops is something that's really cool and fun and new. Okay, I think recipes could be a cool thing for that. I would also be okay if the recipes are just like built into the crafting benches, and you unlock them by like leveling up or something like that. The cooking thing, like that's fine too. But having recipes be something you obtain rather than you can just instantly make everything, I think is fun, as long as it doesn't feel punishing or annoying to do. Okay, there will be several different cooking stations that you can make. So think like, you know, stuff for baking, stuff for grilling, stuff for like whatever, right? You're just gonna have different types of stations that do different things. And you level up a cooking skill to unlock use of higher tier stations and higher tier recipes that have higher tier buffs. So basically, kind of like I was talking before about masteries, you have a mastery system in that just by regular interaction, you cook something, you use the bench, you get XP for just using it, and then it levels you up to be able to get to a higher tier bench that can then like cook higher end recipes that are more rare to get. So it's a little bit of a progression system. The buffs don't need to be time based though. Imagine a buff for mining speed. Eating the food for that gives you a new bar that would appear like by your stamina bar or something. And that bar is more used up like stamina. So rather than I eat the food, I get the effect for 10 minutes, it's kind of boring. Instead, you eat the food and as you mine, the bar goes down. So you may eat a food and you can mine like a certain number of blocks, but it's a little bit more than that. Maybe the blocks with a higher hardness to them would consume more of the bar than something that breaks fast like sand or dirt. So if you're insta clearing dirt or sand out of the way because it mines really fast, that bar doesn't go down as much per block mined as it does if you're getting some type of rare stone-like material that actually takes a little while. It's like takes a second or two for your pickaxe to mine. So it would help you mine that faster, but it's going to help you mine less of them, if that makes sense. And you could expand this out to other things too. Movement speed would drain by distance moved. Jump boost would drain by the amount of times you jump. So you don't have that sense of, oh, I'm on a timer and it runs out. It runs out as you use it, and it's clearly denoted by a bar on your screen. And then you would either limit the number of active buffs at a time to something like 2 or 3. So you can't just like eat 18 different foods and get 18 buffs. That would feel kind of silly and overpowered. Or you have a progression system and that has you start with maybe only 1 active buff being allowed. So you eat a food, you get a buff. And then if you eat a new food, it overrides your last buff. And then some part of this progression system is that you can eventually have a second food effect, maybe a third food effect active at a time. Probably not much more than that because it may get a little crazy to juggle it and it might feel a little silly and overpowered, but it would be cool to have a way to maybe have 2 or 3 buffs active at a time. Anyways, that's just an idea I had. Maybe it goes a little too far. Just kind of let me know what you think about it, each individual part. And if you've been enjoying these videos, the news and a little bit of opinion mixed in, let me know down in the comments as well. You can also let me know by clicking the subscribe button, like this video, and make sure you watch the next one. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.